Typhoons have been the leading hazard in causing catastrophe in the Philippines. Typhoons usually occur around December to March in this part of the world, with roughly 19 cyclones reaching the Philippine area annually, 6 to 9 of which tend to make landfall. Cyclones usually hit the southeast of the Philippines, making their way northeast across the islands. The deadliest typhoon recorded to hit the Philippines was in September 1881. Obviously this was a very vulnerable time and little data was recorded from the event. However, the most destructive was a lot more recent. In November of last year, when Typhoon Yolanda struck, causing $2.86 billion worth of damage. Flooding is the second largest hazard to occur in the Philippines, and this is mainly due to its monsoon climate because of its location. Floods have affected over 11.5 million people in total throughout the Philippines alone. This can also be due to severe thunderstorms formed in the Pacific that are not quite powerful enough to be classed as a cyclone. Flooding in the Philippines killed 8 and displaced about 18,000 people just last week due to a severe storm and heavy flooding. The Weather Bureau has said that 268 millimeters of rain fell over the capital Manila in just 24 hours, equivalent to their usual average rainfall for the whole month of September. Drought is also known to occur in the Philippines, although it tends to be very irregular and usually not too bad. This is due to the El Niño oscillation cycles that sees change in trade winds and air pressure in the Pacific to send severe drought in Australia, with the Philippines taking part of the effects. There have been just 6 occurrences of a drought in the Philippines, however in that time it has affected 6 million people. The severe and heavy rainfall that the Philippines can experience can and has led to many severe landslides in the past. The rainfall lubricates the soil and causes it to fall down a cliff or hillside along a slip plane, forming a landslide. These are more common in the northern mountainous regions of the Philippines, however because most of the Philippines has a very rugged and extreme terrain, they can occur almost anywhere at any time. As mentioned, the Philippines lies on a plate margin, so seismic activity is very regular and usually very hazardous, sometimes creating deadly earthquakes. Many minor earthquakes with very low magnitude occur very often in this region. The release of pressure at the plate margins causes these earthquakes and also tsunamis in some cases. The 8.0 magnitude Morro Gulf earthquake of 1976 was the most deadly in the Philippines. With 5,000 deaths and a further 12,000 affected, it was catastrophic as the shimmer could be felt all the way in Japan. It occurred in the Morro Gulf of the Philippines in the very south of the country, and a tsunami was produced as a result. Contributing to the effects, the waves reached more than 5 meters high. The Philippines sits within the Ring of Fire of volcanoes in the Pacific, and so is a very active region for seismic activity and volcanoes. The dense oceanic Philippine crust subducts under the Eurasian continental plate, forming a destructive plate boundary and producing volcanoes, allowing magma to reach the Earth's surface as a result. There are a total of 25 active volcanoes in the country, as stated by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, many of which have the potential to cause massive disasters. June through September of 1991 saw a very large and devastating volcanic eruption of Mount Pinatubo, located just north of the densely populated Manila. There was a total of 700 people killed and thousands more affected and injured, many of which were the indigenous people of the region who lost everything. Pyroclastic flows and lahars were the main cause of destruction that flowed down the north side of the mountain. Luckily, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology saved at least 5,000 lives and $250 million in damage because of their forecasting of the eruption and response to evacuate. The Philippines is an LIC with a fairly high population density, especially in the megacity of Manila, and the majority of its population living in poverty, along with an increasing youthful population. This means that when disaster does strike, the economic effects on the people is often severe, and people can be affected and suffering for years to follow. The fact that so many hazards can hit the island so often is particularly worrying for its population. In response, the government has established several organisations to carry out forecasting, warning, hazard risk assessment, disaster training and education to try to prevent the effects becoming more severe on the country. Land use planning and building regulation, structural programmes and defences can also help the people survive the huge range of hazards facing them.